Welcome, everyone, to the Center of Love. Thank you for coming. It's delightful to see you here. This place is us coming together to connect, learn, and grow. What a gift it is to be here together with you. At the center, we support each other and share in an open and loving community. A deep connection is right there for the taking, or the sharing. Last time we talked about November 1st and new beginnings. And I don't know about you, but mine was really interesting. It was, yeah. To start by saying that Ram Dass once said, when you identify as your soul, you see other people as souls. And souls love one another. Thank you. I'm not sure there's much I can add to that. It really is the thing. Really, it's not a whole lot of value, I think. But I'll try. I'll see if I have anything to say that can contribute to that. Because I think one of the ways that I see us is that we're how the earth plays and creates.
I think he just likes the idea of hearing about Africa, which I do too.
Hello. Welcome. How the earth creates and plays and loves in awareness. And yet, why does you feel different than I? That gap feels substantial somehow. You're there, and I'm here. I think the rest of what's going on is so much more interesting. Because we've been together this whole time. I understand if that doesn't land right away, it's all good. But I'll explain that another time because I'm actually supposed to be introducing connection for Kressa. So I'm not going to go into that right now, which I am getting there, by the way, in my own way. You ever wondered at how peculiar it is that we ever fell apart in the first place? Though I'm not sure it even matters now that we're here. For the endless beauty of what you are shines through all the time. In every moment. I don't know about you, but there's plenty of times where I feel like it doesn't. When I'm not being my best self. When you pay attention, it's always there. And we've been dancing together this whole time. And here we are again. At the center of it all. How lucky are we that we get to come together. We get to connect with each other. Person to person. Your world to mine. Cosmos to cosmos. Soul to soul. In spite of all this, sometimes we feel disconnected and alone. Or is that just me? I don't know. Can't just be. But what happens if you do identify as your soul? Like Ram Dass said. Do souls ever feel lonely? I'll apologize for all the questions. I don't know what Kressa is going to do with this. Yeah. Good luck, Kressa. Like you got your work cut out for you. But she can handle it. Kressa brings love and connection through passion and play and adventure. And she's pretty smart too. There'll be a lot of value, I think, from what she's bringing for us today. She recently returned from a trip abroad to visit the Maasai people. And she'll share her experiences with Maasai and how their culture exemplifies connection and community. In other words, she's done some very important field research, and we get to partake of that. Please give a warm welcome to Kressa Sisu, our speaker for today.
Good morning, everyone. So you wonder what all this garb is about? This is the Maasai. These are gifts that I received from the Maasai people. And before I get started, I want to welcome everyone online. I have Lori there, Liz, Fred, and I see Monty's there somewhere. So welcome everybody online.
Wave to the people.
Yeah, wave to everybody. Yay. So as many of you know, and what Ben just said is I just came back from a month in Africa. So I was with my grandson and his friend Kieran. So this is the one here on the left with the green hats, my grandson, and the other one is Kieran. So it was grandma and two 18-year-olds for a month. So it was quite a combination. I have been involved with the Maasai people for over 10 years. And this trip was the first since 2019. And it was monumental. We built a playground from scratch in just a little over 3 weeks. We had lots of support from all the community, and which I'll share. And from folks here, people have donated. I used all your donations. 100% of them went towards the structures. But that isn't what I want to share today. I'm happy to show you pictures of before and after of the playground, if you so choose, after the gathering. What I want to talk about today is the power of connection. Journal of Aging Science says, the more technologically advanced we become, the more lonely we are. People rather text than talk face-to-face and connect. And the connecting to me seems very superficial. I've seen people sitting at a table all on their phones. Nobody's talking, but they're together, but they're not really together. So I've watched the documentaries. Blue Zones. Anybody seen Blue Zones documentaries? Yeah. And one of the major factors for longevity was connection. Seniors that have a powerful family, friends, and connect often live longer. Well, that's pretty powerful. Before I talk, now the next slide. Before I talk, I want to introduce you to Clamian Katesho. He's right in the middle there. He's an elder in the Maasai tribe. And the impetus for creating Nashape School, which I have been involved with right from the beginning. Education for his community has been his dream since he was a little boy and had to walk 10 kilometers to school. And when he got there, he didn't speak the same language. I have known him since 2013. He is one of the people I most admire. His capacity for kindness, caring, putting his community first is something I aspire to, but will never come close to how he manages to support everyone and also accomplishes things that are mind-boggling to me. He's definitely a hero in my world. He can be given devastating news like he was when I was in Africa with him. He lost a major funder, $100,000 funder. And part of the reason he lost that funding was because they didn't agree on the project. The funder wanted something massive and wanted to evict some of the Maasai people from their homes. And Clamian said, no, that's not what the community wants. We want to keep this small. The only reason we're doing these eco-bomas is so that we can support the school. So he lost all that money. So I'm right there as he's lost all the funding. He got this awful letter and I saw it. And it took him about 10 minutes, I think, maybe. And he was, yeah, that's hard. And the next thing I know, he's laughing and smiling and sharing jokes. And I know that both the boys were in absolute awe of him, as I am. So, okay, let's talk about the community. Community and connection is everything in Clamian's village. The Maasai people live in harmony with nature and still follow a lot of their tribal, cultural kind of ways. And then there's another pic. So this is Nema and her baby. She just had a baby. And this is her home that she lives in. So you can go to any of these huts anywhere and somebody will give you a hug. And she leans against me and you can tell there's just I've known her for quite a long time. And it's just so open. I probably had more hugs there in a month than I had the year prior living here. It's just very, very powerful. It was interesting to observe my grandson, because everybody in Africa wants to connect. They all want to touch you. And for Cole, it was kind of overwhelming because he's not used to that. He's used to more isolation and more being on his device. And so that was hard on him. It was interesting to watch. So everyone, especially the kids, like I said, want to touch and connect. One day I'm walking to the ecobomas, next slide. So I'm walking to the ecobomas where I was living. So I lived on this property for a month. And as I'm walking, I had at least 100 high fives from these kids. Look at their faces. Like, I mean, and most of these families have absolutely nothing. But look how happy they are. It was just amazing. We have 400 children in our school now in Ashapay, and 108 are living in the dormitory. And that's where we built the playground, was in the dormitory. I felt so valued and cared for while I was there. So many smiling faces every day and so much kindness. My nickname in Africa is Mama Boo Boo. And the reason for that is that when I used to go on all these trips before, this was my 11th time. So when I've gone on the trips before, I've always brought medical supplies and I did first aid. And then if it was overwhelmed, I couldn't deal with it. We gathered money from all the volunteers and we would send them to a doctor. So that's where I got the nickname. I think it was mainly from the volunteers. But what's interesting is, so Cole's kind of nosy. He wants to know, what does boo boo mean? And actually boo boo means you can't speak. So, well, that doesn't work for me. No. So anyway, we had a good laugh about that one. And as I'm walking from the school to the bomas to anywhere, I could hear Mama Boo Boo being called through the community. It's pretty cool. And yes, we had some communication challenges that led to some frustrations, but everything got solved. So the Maasai people are totally community focused. So there are no orphanages in the Maasai land. If a mama and a papa die, then the Bomanix or wherever will take over and look after that child. When I was there 4 trips ago, I guess, we had a baby die during one of our volunteer trips. And again, everybody shows up. How can we help? And then we as volunteers brought food, because that's what we would do here in Canada. So we brought food to support the mama. So that's just so interesting. I mean, they just all pool together. Food is a scarcity sometimes. It's a very big challenge in Africa, and especially in our village. It's a little better now because there's more funding coming in now. And because of the bomas, the eco bomas where we were living, they're open to booking.com and to Airbnb. So we now have guests coming in. All the money from that goes back to the village or to the school to support it. So when we were there was quite a few volunteers, and they wanted to have a goat slaughter, which is a very traditional ceremony that the Maasai do. I hid in my cabin. I'm a pacifist, so I find that kind of thing very hard. But Cole and Kieran thought that was just amazing. So again, all that food that was slaughtered is then shared with the whole community. There's another, so this picture, this boy, look at this face. So he has nothing, you can see. He lives in a mud hut and he's probably worn the same clothes for a year. But look at his face. Like, he's shining. He's got a spirit that's alive inside of him because he's got all kinds of people around him and people that care about him. I just think that shows a lot. And they have women's groups as well. So the women all tend to get together. And it was funny, Clemming was saying to me that all the women were getting together and the men noses were out of joint. So they all decided they needed a men's group. So they had a big men's group, and you'll quite often see this. Sometimes it's frustrating, all standing around, they're always talking, chatting away, you know. And sometimes when you're in the middle of doing a big project like we were, it was like, oh, could you kind of stop talking and let's get to work? Yeah, that's the North American way, not the Maasai way. Alcohol can be a huge problem in our village, and they make their own, and it's called Kill Me Quickly. Which sounds funny, but it actually can kill you. It's very, very 100% alcohol. It's pretty devastating. So they started a support group to support people with that who are struggling with alcohol. Flamian's dad is actually blind because of Kill Me Quickly. But again, he lives in the village with everybody there because they're all supporting him. So I want to share, so in the North American culture, we are so focused on the individual. Independence is valued above community. We are a me-focused society, and I think to the detriment of the collective. So here's some examples of how I experienced this village, how they operate with this collective attitude and mindset. So the next slide.
Are you familiar with the death
So
threat?
here we are.
If Judge Honeywell, I mean, if someone made a
Oh, there's Sherry. Hi, Sherry.
Everybody say hi.
Yes. So here's the first one. So this is this is where we built the playground. So it's empty, obviously. So we had to get the ground going. And so there was me and Cole and Kieran, and I think a couple of other people, and we were raking all the rocks, and it was hard work. And next thing I know, all these kids show up, and I think, how did that happen? Teacher had said, there's some, Canadians here, they're building you a playground. I think you should go help. So they all came outside. Within an hour and a half, all the rocks were gone. Isn't that amazing? Everybody pooled together and they got the job done. The next pic. So the same thing with sand. So now you can see some of the structures are already in. And the sand came the second day before we left. Like we were right to the end before we had to go. And everybody showed up. So I don't have a picture here, but the teachers came, the principal came, the social worker came, everybody came, and we all got rakes and everybody got the job done. In an hour, it's done. Like that's working together and as a community. Then push to finish was a big thing. And again, everybody came out. What happened is one of the structures, the contractor had put it in cement and buried it, and it wasn't supposed to be buried. It was supposed to be on top. So again, this is the second to last day before we're leaving. And again, everybody comes, pickaxes. There's no, what are those called? Jackhammer, no jackhammers, pickaxes. And again, Clamian said at 3 o'clock, all the kids are coming to play. And I said, how are they going to come to play? It's not finished. It'll be done, Kressa. It'll be done. And sure enough, it was done. It was just amazing. So, and the generosity of the people I find is palpable. And we have a lot of the mamas do. So all this beadwork is done by our mamas. All my earrings are done by the mamas. I have another necklace here. So they do all this beadwork, beautiful, beautiful beadwork. And we have like pop-up stands. And actually this is done by our Maasai people as well. I actually bought Justin one of these. And so we had a pop-up shop and everyone was buying some jewelry and stuff. And I was just standing there. One of the mamas who I've met many times, she comes up to me and grabs my hand and says, points to one of the bracelets and takes it, puts it on me. And she says, free. So, no, it's okay. Yes, free. And so she gave me that. And another time I was with one of our servers, our hosts and witness, and I was admiring her beautiful necklace. It wasn't a mama of beads, something she got in Arusha. And I said, wasn't that beautiful? She started to take it off. I said, no, don't do that. So again, it's just palpable how generous and kind they are. And they're kind with their spirit and they're kind with whatever they happen to have. So I found that very profound. So I left Africa with a very full heart. Did I show all the pictures? I think we did.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. I left Africa with a very full heart and an eagerness to return and share this amazing experience with others. And I am going back. Anyone is interested, December the 10th next year. And I've already got quite a few people that have already signed up. And it'll be a different trip. This one was just a thing we did, me and Cole and Karen, but this will be through a charitable organization and everything, your whole trip is tax deductible. So something to think about. So I'd like to finish today a little differently. And I'd like to finish with hugs. But before we end with hugs, I want to talk a little bit about what hugs release. Hugs release oxytocin. Everybody know about that? Yeah. So oxytocin is the love hormone that relieves stress and boosts heart health. It also helps in losing weight, lowers blood pressure, fights diseases, and increases libido, and reduces stress and gives us a feeling of comfort. A 10-second hug helps the body fight infections, eases depression, lessens tiredness. Oh, Wow, that's quite a list, isn't it? So now I would like us just to stand and hug whoever is close to you. And a good hug, not a little pat on the back hug, like a really good hug. Give somebody a hug
If you're willing and able.
if you're willing and able.
All right, welcome back, everyone. We had a fruitful discussion down here. Ranged from discussion about alcohol and substances and how those fit into ceremony, and then ultimately into community. Lots of great points on joy, on community, on connection, on I hear there's an interesting talk coming up on the intention of molecules from our man James. A lot of great points. Does anyone else want to say anything about our discussion?
About the upstairs group, does anybody
Yeah.
want to represent?
How'd it
the
go upstairs? What,
Does
you
anybody
want to come up here for a
summarize?
second?
Give us some highlights.
So much.
Okay.
I don't know, we talked about so much. Well, how could we kind of round it up?
You want to summarize, Kressa?
Um,
Good.
There you go.
We're getting there.
Yeah, I don't know, that wasn't a great idea.
I'll just leave it facing this way and then she can come up and
Here.
Okay.
there you go.
there, we went everywhere, didn't we? Like, we talked about everything, but we talked a lot about how to be a community, how to connect with each other. And how to make that kind of thing, what could we do to enhance that, and how can we support each other? So what else do we talk about?
Cultural, the differences in community culture.
Yes, we talked a lot about culture and how we in North America are so different in our culture compared to other cultures, like you were talking about in Persia. Yeah, and Africa and all different cultures where connection and community is everything. That's how they survive. But here we're more individualistic. So I think that kind of covered it, did it? Yeah, all right, good.
Thanks, everyone.